Hello friends. So today we are going to learn about chapter 10 of the class 8th history textbook, that is India after independence. So till now, let's have a quick recap. We have seen how the Britishers, they came, they had their conquest happening all over the India. Then they started, trade and all the business that they had. They made India a dumping market for their products. Then after that, they also established many other things in there. The first war of independence happened. Then a lot of the organizations were established for the freedom movement. The freedom movement happened, mobilizing the mass. Many of the mass movements happened. Then after that, finally we gained independence on 15th of August 1947. So what after that? What after India gaining the independence? Was that our only goal? So before India had independence, we were under the British rule. We were a colony of the Britishers. So in that colonization phase, we had learned a lot of things from what we wanted. We aspired to be a nation of our dreams. Like what what are the qualities, what are the things that we wanted from our nation, what are the, like, when we think about something, when we think about a future, that okay, I want to become a doctor, we don't just think about becoming a doctor. We think, post that also, that what kind of doctor do we want to become, or what are the future aspirations that I hold, what would I hold my MD in. So a lot of things, happen consequently, and we have to plan the process throughout to, make our aspirations come true. So let's see what happened to India after independence. A new and divided nation. So before independence of India, nobody had thought in the last decade that India was going to be a divided nation. We all thought, at that time, all the people, they thought that India was going to be a united nation after the British will leave. But India was partitioned and was created into two states, two countries, that is Pakistan and India. So what after that? We did not think of that. It came all of a sudden. We were not prepared for this, but it came, and we have to do things to, make this successful. So India faced several challenges like poverty, divisions between communities, and the impact of partition. Not only this, there were a lot of other problems also that were faced. First, uh, because of a new and divided nation, we had partition. So partition does not, comes along in a very free state. It comes with its own consequences. So lots and lots of people, they were, murdered, and they were, they became homeless overnight. So what happened was that the Hindu minority, which was there in Pakistan, and the Muslim minority, which was there in India, they wanted to switch places. So a lot of refugees had gone to Pakistan, a lot of refugees had come to India. So what about that refugee problem? Like overnight, like before 15th of August 1947, the country was one, and all these people, they were the countrymen of the country. But now, overnight, they had become refugees. So you see the change of status that happened. So overnight, these people, they had lost their homes. These people, they had lost their employments. These people, they had lost everything that they owned at some point of time, and they had come to a new nation, which they might not have thought that it would happen. So basically, because of partition, refugees were there, and now the new India had to, sort to the problems of these refugees as well. Along with the new partition country, we had to take care, we had to cater to the demands of these refugees, at least provide them shelter and food and, work to, cater to their family needs. So that happened due to the partition. Of course, after partition, it was not like it was all served to us in a plate, everything placed very nicely, and, all three-course meal. No, that did not happen. So India was now, divided between, it was seeming like a gap between these two religions, Hindu and Muslim. But along with it, we had many more religions to, cater to their needs as well. Like there were Parsis, there were Sikhs, so there were Christians, there were a lot of religions in India, and we had to cater to the demands of all these people, not just Hindu and Muslims. Because India was not going to be India was not going to be like what was Pakistan. Pakistan was a Muslim nation, Islamic nation, but India was not going to be a nation of one religion. The third problems comes here, like what kind of nation India was to become. So this was also not decided. All the political, social, and everything that was about to happen in India, that was also not decided, because of course we were a newly independent country and we needed some time to form our own rules and what kind of country we wanted to become. So uh, what our political ambitions might have been would have to come in the picture now. So we have to form practical set of regulations to make that things possible. So that happened. Of course, we were not even divided on equal basis from the point of view of caste. So there were high caste and low caste still at that point of time. There were the gap of rich and poor. There was poverty everywhere because British drained us of of lots of wealth. So of course there was poverty, and we had to cater to the poverty as well. There was division between communities. People were divided in in the religious sense, or in the rich and poor sense, in the caste sense. So basically everywhere people were divided. The linguistic sense, we also had this problem of language. So before that India was free, Britishers, they had all these policies implied because they did not care that what the Indians were thinking about these policies. But now when we were free, we had to look upon the aspirations of the people, that what they wanted from us. So that was also one thing. We had to cater to the demands of almost all the people that were living in India. So not each and every one, door by door to door, but a majority of people who wanted at least one thing. And the impact of partition was very, very severe. Like of course we had already so many so many things that were already happening. Like we had to form a united state. We could not have afforded to be a divided state on the basis of they were all, also they were princely states. So basically India, if you see the map of India during 1947, a lot of princely states, they wanted to retain their autonomy. So inside India there were many princely states that wanted to be autonomous, but they were in India. So basically they could not be carved out of India. So they had to be, India was around them, but they had to be autonomous. So a lot of problems were there, but we had to cater to all those problems slowly, of course, because we were going to be a new nation of our aspirations. And that was a difficult task ahead. Of course, the death of Mahatma Gandhi was also a severe blow to all the new aspiration that people had. So it was also a big blow to the minds of people. That also created a halt. This is the picture of Mahatma Gandhi's ashes being immersed. He was assassinated by Nathuram Godse, as we all know. He was a fanatic who believed that Gandhian ideologies were not meant to be followed. Let's move on. The Constituent Assembly. So what was going to happen to the new India politically? So this Constituent Assembly was formed in 1946, and it worked from December 1946 to November 1949 to draft the Indian Constitution, which came into effect on January 26, 1950. So basically, in order to make a country believe in a civilized to make a country work towards a civilized way, to make sure that all your aspirations come true, you need a constitution, you need a set of rules that all the peoples are regulated with. So this Constituent Assembly, they drafted all the rules that they wanted to. They were representatives from all around the country. Like the representatives did not belong to a particular place of the country, but they belonged to almost all. They were representing the whole India. So basically, not a single province was meant to be left. So all it was made sure that all the people are represented, like all the communities, all the sects were represented. So they made a very bulky constitution. They tried to include the best of everything in the constitution. That is why it took very, very long time, and we have the bulkiest constitution in the world. So they made a very good constitution. In fact, if you ever get a chance to read our constitution, try and read it once. Of course, it will be very boring if you read all the constitution in a one go, but try reading some points at in your phase, like throughout your life. You'll come to know that it was drafted in such a beautiful manner that they tried to include majority of the things that people were deprived of even before the Britishers came in. So basically, they tried to create a very ideal society. Of course, ideal society is only in an ideal form because there are no disadvantages in the ideal society. But in real society, of course, we believe that we will achieve idealist kind of society, but we have to work through all the difficulties that comes in between. So that is also what happened with the Constituent Assembly. Even though the constitution was made, it wasn't sure that if the constitution would work as all the people aspired, as the people of India aspired. Universal adult franchise. So universal adult franchise was a really great step in our constitution. You know how Britishers thought that we were not modern enough to have everything by ourselves, that they did not trust the steels produced by us. In the previous chapters we have seen that they did not trust the quality of the steels produced by us. They did not thought us to be qualified enough to be in their administration as well. So this was a very huge steps towards not only modernization but towards a society that would that all the world would aspire to become. In Let's take example of all the first world countries that were there in that period. All of them, none of these countries provided universal adult franchise at once to all their citizens. So everyone had to be there, everyone had to perform in order to be there. Like people who owned property, they were given the right to vote, or eventually people who were educated, they were given the right to vote. Then males were given right to vote, the males above the age of 21 years. Women in both Britain and US, they had to fight for a long time to have their right to vote. But India, when it got independent, from the beginning of the day one, it had in its constitution that all the people above the age of 21 would have the right to vote. So on the first step, the first milestone that we were trying to achieve, that is that you have a right to choose your representative, that you have a right to vote, was given to all the people at once. We did not thought about any repercussions whatsoever. We did not think that if any other country has done it, and if they haven't done it, then what is the reason. We wanted to give it and we gave it. So that is how India became example of a great country. Of course, it was age of 21 before, and it was by 61st Amendment Act. It was changed and it was reduced to the age 18. So initially it was 21 because people, they thought that after only the age of 21, people become mature enough to choose their representative. But it was decreased to age 18. They would be allowed to vote in state and national elections regardless of gender, class, or education. Like we were, not demanding any of the things for you. You do not have to own property. You do not have to be educated. You do not even have to be literate. And you do not have to be of a particular class, caste, or gender or sex. You just have to be over a certain age to vote. Like male, female, old, young, everyone was allowed to vote in the country, which was newly formed, which was often referred by the first world countries as a very, very poor and poverty ridden country, and a country which did not grow culturally or traditionally, or which did not grow towards modernity. But this country was leading the example of being a modern state as soon as it got independence. So we came with a bang. This is the picture of the first general elections that happened. We can see that how all the people, you can see that how all the people, they came. Like there are young and there is old, and all the people, they were there. So this is the example of the first general election, and universal adult franchise was a huge milestone that we achieved after our independence. Another thing that we guaranteed because of our constitution, we guaranteed in our constitution was equality before law. Now this is what I was talking about, that did not even exist in the pre-British era. Never were all the Indian people equal before anyone. So basically, when all the kingdoms were there, when the British Raj was there, nobody was, not all the people were equal. They were all, distinguished on the basis of their maybe caste or their gender or maybe their occupation. So they all were distinguished in some form or the another. But this Indian constitution, it granted that all the people are equal before me. So basically, nobody stands above the law. All the people are equal before law. All people have this equality. The constitution guarantees equality before the law to all the citizens, regardless of their caste, religion, affiliations, gender, etc. This was very important because India was having a really hard time because of the partition and everything. So the people, they were very insecure, the people of many religions, because there was talks that India should be a Hindu nation. There were talks that uh, the caste talks were there. So basically, India did not want it to be a Hindu nation. This was clear from this very law, that we were all equal, no matter what religion you belong to. You can be a Muslim, you can be a Parsi, you can be a Christian, you can be a Sikh, you can be a Hindu, you can be any tribe, but you all were equal before law. So basically, nobody was above law. They were all equal before law, and law for everyone was the same. Nobody had any nobody had any equal different status before law. We did not want it to be another Pakistan. We did not want it to acclaim one religion as our country. We always wanted to include and be united and form India, not another Pakistan. Special privileges. So it was really important for us to abolish untouchability, because people, they had seen very, very bitter times because of this thing. Like the people who were regarded as untouchables, they had seen a very hard time. They were always discriminated throughout their lives. They were never meant to be educated. They did not receive proper education like all the people did. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the father of the constitution, belonged to one such caste which was regarded as untouchable. He saw discrimination throughout his life, and along with him, a lot of the other members of the Constituent Assembly and a lot of people of India, they saw untouchability, which was a very, very cruel thing to do to anyone. So that is why it was another of our aspiration, that untouchability should be abolished from its roots. Of course, it cannot mean if it's just written in words. We had to practice it socially, economically, and in every way that we could have. A certain percentage of seats in legislature and government jobs were reserved for the members of lower caste and scheduled tribes. The reason for this was the reason that was given behind this was that these people, through a long period of time, through centuries, these people have been deprived of all the rights that other people had enjoyed. They were not they were not given access to any education. They were not given access to many places like temples, wells, etc. Their lives were made hell. They were only given certain jobs, and they were very, very cruel jobs that they were considered very dirty jobs that the upper caste would not touch, because they would also be contaminated and be untouchables. So basically, they were leading a very undignified life, because the people, they refused to believe that they are humans after all. So basically, in order to restore them the dignity that they should have had in the previous years, it was decided that there would be seats reserved in order to give them a push, that okay, you are made to be so behind of all of us that you need a little push to be in the race. You were not even allowed to be in the race, and now we are giving you a push that okay, you need to start from here, because you were deprived of so many things that we cannot even expect you to just be equal with the rest of us, and be in the same level that we are already having. Like, imagine a condition where all of us, we belong to a very educated community. Of course, we did not have anything cruel in our mind. We do not consider anyone as untouchable, but imagine another person who has been considered untouchable throughout his life. He has seen so many atrocities throughout his life, and then he is also told that okay, you have to compete with these educated people. From where is that justified? It was not justified. During that time, there were a lot of people who could not even be literate because of this. Let's see a very interesting example here. Like we know the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So you might have heard the laws and tales, and this is actually a true story, that that the children who were who were born after Hiroshima and Nagasaki was bombed, after several years also, like after 50 or 60 years also, the children who were born there were deformed. because they carried this. Their genes was disrupted because of the bombings. The atomic bombings disrupted the genes, those who resided there, and that is why even after 50 to 60 years, the children born were deformed. So imagine the exploitation that had been done to this caste and community, this group of people, for so many ages, like for the times innumerable. And then we are expecting them to be in the same status. So that was not going to happen, because they were never given that kind of opportunity. They did not have such kind of capability of thinking. They did not have such kind of capability of being the physically, mentally and psychologically active. So that is why it was reserved for during that time. Division of powers. So it was also a very, very great debate that whether states should be autonomous or whether the central should have powers. So after a long debate, it was really, really decided that the people were very bifurcated in their opinion. Some of the people thought, some of the people who were from states all over the India, they thought that states should be granted, autonomy for some years, because they needed to grow. But at the other time, because we had seen the partition, we were seeing that there were princely states in India. Some of the people, they were of opinion that there should be strong center to have these states held together in unity, because if we let go, we give autonomy, then the states they might go their own separate ways. They might want autonomy throughout forever. So the we came in a moderate discussion. We came we found a midway where the constitution provided 3 lists of subjects